Hi YouTube. How are you doing? Um, I'm doing okay. I have a lot on my mind like usual. I was thinking about talking about cryptocurrency and the connection between that and Trump and treason and for just real quick, I'll just talk about different things that are on my mind, but that being foremost right now, he signed into bill where um, cryptocurrency is going to be implemented in the United States along with artificial intelligence. They're stepping up their game. And the thing is, cryptocurrency not being backed by the gold standard, it's not a part of the Federal Reserves. It's not the federal banking system or federal bank, our bank. He also made it impossible now for people to use our social security numbers as a corporation um, in shares. And the point with that, too, is all the time that it has been used and the taxpayers, the people, Social Security people, haven't gotten any of those dividends back. The companies that have used us have benefited from that. So he really isn't rectifying anything. It's treasonous to bring in a dead currency not backed by our gold standard and force that upon the American people. You know, it just is. Anything that doesn't benefit the people, it's not a part of the Federal Reserve's. Cryptocurrency is not, period. No digital currency is a bank. It's fictitious, you know. So that's what's on my mind with that. And it's not like any of us can really probably do too much about it, but I just wanted people to be aware. Yeah, I live with a Trump supporter, but I don't support any of them. Um, I just don't. So, excuse me a minute. I got my coffee over here. I got just a weird setup right now, probably for a while, because if I do move things around, it's not going to be good for me right now anyway. So, um, the way things are. So I'll just deal with it and weekend the way I'm doing it now. And somebody had mentioned it was interesting seeing different angles. you know, yeah, that's good. You know, depending on how the lighting is how I'll be looking too. And that's okay because I'm not too vain like that. I've always had a confidence about myself. Um, since I was a little kid. I mean, people have tried to destroy that in me, but, you know, in different ways. Like somebody on my Facebook had written that, have you ever had somebody make you feel that you were unattractive? Oh, yeah, I gave somebody my heart and I thought the world of them, and it wasn't returned. They pretended it was. So it was that pretense that actually the fooling of me, thinking I was actually going to grow with another human being when they weren't concerned about any kind of growth. Um, yeah, it's a little, not little, it's very heart rendering, but um, if you think enough about yourself and you realize who that other person is, that normal people don't try to destroy people, then you know who they are, and are they really all that you would feel less than them, or was it the love that you gave to that person that made them seem beautiful to you, you know? The love you shared or you thought you were sharing, that's the thing with me. When I love somebody or they show me a part of their personality that I think is soulful, um, I fall in love with that part of people until they show me that it's not really anything to do with their soul. So, yeah. Anyhow, Doug was going to go have a cup of coffee with a friend of his, and well, he had a summertime battery in his truck, and see, our Mustang broke down that we were going to drive for the winter. We thought we had it all set, and he has the wrong oil in his other truck, and the diesel won't start. So I'm sure, I mean, we could work at getting something started, like putting charcoal underneath the oil pan. And I did that to get like our wood splitter started one year. I put some charcoal under there and I was able to get that little motor to turn over. But, if you don't need to be out there in the cold, I mean, if it's not an emergency, then, why bother? And I think it's on next Wednesday. It's going to be like 35 degrees here. So, you know, and we have plenty of food and everything. So it's like, yeah, nah, I don't. We both went out for about 5 minutes. That was good enough. I caught my mouse yesterday. This tripped me out. I'll tell you about it in a second here. Take a sip of my coffee and oh, I sort of freaked out. So when I first saw it, and it must have went down behind the cabinet, and I thought, well, it's going to be coming out, and one of the cats will probably get it anyway. So I walked out my kitchen, and typically I keep my kitchen sink clean. But it just so happened that I didn't feel like it the night before. There was like a couple plates and a couple kitty dishes in there that I had, and I was soaking them. So here I come out there, and here was that mouse sitting on a plate in my sink, and it was just looking at me. It was kind of a pretty little thing. And so I come back into my room to get my leather gloves, went back out, and I was telepathically telling them, I'm not going to hurt you. Just stay there. Most mice run, you know, but it listened to me, and I grabbed it and I looked at it and it screamed. I swear I could hear it, that little, and so I took it outside and I was going to whip it out into the yard, and it was about 8 degrees out last evening. So I went to fling it out into the yard, and it stuck to my glove. This was the grossest part. So I flung it again, and it hit the step. And I don't know if it was like urine or stomach fluids. There was two spots that were rather clear. One was a little more murky. It could have had a miscarriage. I don't know. It was pretty fat from being in the house, or maybe it had just gotten in. I'm not sure, because Doug had left the porch door open to get some wood in from the woodshed just right across from there. The doors actually hold each other open if we want them to. So we had them open, so it might have came in on the porch and got in when we were bringing wood in or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, so then after it hit the porch, it sort of splattered and ran off. I came back in and I got some cleaner and I went out there to clean the porch where all that icky stuff was. Tried to. It was freezing just as quick as I had tried to clean it, you know. So that was a trip. How gross it splatted. And it was cute. I had a pet mouse once. I did not want to hurt the thing, but you can't have them in your house. I had well, I had somebody actually try to burn my house down with my child and I in it. But the firefighters thought that a mouse had chewed the wire. And then after they thought they had it put out, it started back up. It wasn't put out in the walls. Um, so it pretty much destroyed what was left of my house. But yeah. So yeah, mice can be super dangerous to have around in your house, untethered, you know, so poor little thing. It wasn't gray. It was sort of a pretty little, like a fawn colored one with white. And when it screamed, ah, I was like, oh, poor thing. But yeah, another time I had taken them sticky traps. They're, well, just a strip of gooey stuff. And I went in, it was in the other room, in my laundry room, and all that were left on that gooey thing were feet. It chewed its own legs to release itself. Ugh, I never bought those again. That was really gross. Then I tried these cube things, and you can catch them. It's like a mini live trap, you know. And yeah, you got them other traps that just like snap. But usually we don't have much of a problem. I might see maybe a mouse a year, not always in the house. This is the first time in quite a few years that we've even had one in the house. So yeah, but yeah. Anyway, my adventure. I really felt bad because here I am swearing to it that I'm not going to hurt it, and I end up just smacking it on the steps, you know. I didn't mean to, it was on my glove. I was trying to get rid of it, you know, and it kept sticking to me. Wow. Because, you know, they can climb up a wall. One time I saw a mama and babies grabbing onto its tail walking across my wall um, in the kitchen. Ugh, gross. Anyway, they can get in any place that their nose can fit in. They can, they're contortionists. They can deflate their bodies and get in your house the size of their nose. Just a little teeny spot. Bats are like that. Rats are like that. Rodents in particular can collapse their rib cage. They have kind of like another joint in there, and they can actually be contortionists. So, yeah. I watched Amon Hillman on Danny Jones yesterday. Um, it was super interesting. I mean, there's people that call themselves theologians or biblical scholars or scholars of antiquity or whatever, but they seem to refuse to engage with Alman Hillman, and they'll say they read Greek. They might have taken like 2 years, might even have a um I don't know if it's like internship or what it would be, um like 2 years into it, but versus Mr. Hillman's like 30 years into this language, and they will not come up against him so far. There's been professors, like 3, 4 of them, Danny Jones has tried to get from Harvard, and, you know, they will not even engage. And there's a lot of major universities that have dropped the Greek program in their universities, and the reason for that is because being that the Septuagint, which proves that there's Greek words in the Septuagint that was written first, that the Hebrew had to take those words out of to decipher what they meant or to coin terms with their language, like Messiah being a Greek word, doesn't just magically appear in Hebrew when the Greek was first. You see what I'm saying? So to prove, like, Christ being a drug term, gospel's a drug term, Savior is a drug term. Let's see, I'm missing. There's a lot of them, but there's another one that's pretty pertinent to, let me see. Well, I know Savior, Gospel, and Christ, and there's one other one in particular, some really what people think are biblical references are references to medications and applications of baptism. That's another one, you know, that are actually medical terms that are in other um, literature through antiquity, like Galen the physician that had written. So I've heard like 10% of what the literature is from antiquity. So if you take these people that were writing about Christ being a drug application or baptism, gospel, whatever, and then the Hebrews take these terms and turn it into something else to deceive people with scriptures that they say were written earlier than what the Greeks wrote isn't true, because it's not Hebrew terminology, it's Greek, you know. So, and then if you read the Septuagint, which is based in Greek, and what I was instructed through the Blue Lodge, how they were going to use the King James Bible and this language in correlation with concordances and dictionaries, and it's all a system to deceive people. Every major religion is only to usurp you out of your money and keep you in fear. That doesn't take God out of the picture. That's just exposing the dark force that's behind these, now, should we call them digital bankers of the Khazarians, you know, that, like Trump signing in the Noahide laws last time he was in office, you know, the things that people seem to ignore in this world of who he pays his allegiance to. It's like I've been saying for the longest time, the only flag that belongs in our White House or our government buildings are either our state flag or our United States flag. And there was one time that there was two Israel flags and the United States flag in the middle of them, and I made a comment of that, and it went away. Then I went and found the statues of in our laws to prove that even if there's a flag from another country uh, being flown next to ours, it's never supposed to be on the same level. It's supposed to be lower. It is not supposed to be uh, um, in our public buildings at all. They have the right to fly. Like if you were from another country, you have a right to fly your flag in the United States on your property. But if you were to take an American flag and your flag and put your flag above our flag, that's treasonous. It's in our laws. So I pointed all this out and how for the longest time, even the gold around our flag indicates wartime. So what is our flag with the gold around it and wartime signia doing in between two Star of David flags, um, little things like that that I notice, you know. Uh, yeah, he's a treasonous bastard. He's like he told his friends, as his exact words in Davos, that he would be implementing artificial intelligence like he did warp speed in the United States here. Um, People are not going to like the outcome of what the agendas are. Go look up the agendas and look at what has already happened and what they plan for the next 5 years, and your freedoms are not going to be so free. This is nothing. This, what they did with mandates and masks and all the rest, that's nothing compared to what they want to do coming up here to us, you know. So, and yes, it is a big deal. All of what I'm talking about is a very big deal, right down to the language, which is super important, you know. Oh, yeah. They're fully aware of what they're doing. It has nothing to do with us. Never has. I mean, for our benefit. If it were for our benefit, he'd be going after these companies that used our social security numbers in the stock market, and we would have the dividends of what those gains were. And that's the way an actual corporation works. Like you're a shareholder of those companies, but he's not doing things to benefit the people in the United States. And you can say different, but what he's doing proves what I'm saying is true. He's treasonous. You can't bring in a digital currency that is not backed by the gold standard and call it a monetary system. But they are. And a lot of people are going to buy into it too. Then he's got his own coin, Trump coin, digital currency that people are buying. I just didn't think people were that brain dead, really. They might think, well, it's no big deal, or if they're on YouTube and they've gotten like Bitcoin or whatever from people, they might think it's a good thing because then they're already in the game and they've got some money set aside in this digital um, apparatus that they're going to be using against everybody. So, yeah, I really do feel sorry for people that have taken like their 401ks and turned it into crypto. Wow. So you take what's actually gold backed and gold based, and we don't know that there's any money in the reserves anyway. But yet we're all in debt to the tune of trillions of dollars, and we're in debt to China? What? But yet China can buy land in the United States and they're our adversary. How does that work? How does it work that a sitting president like Trump or Biden or Obama, when it first started, that these people aren't treasonous? Even like the PepsiCo, Nabisco corporations that are Nestle's and Pepsi that are buying through China our clean water out of the Great Lakes, and that started during the Obama administration and hasn't stopped yet. When there's capabilities in the world to turn salt water into clean drinking water. It's just the same like California's burning down and they're sitting right next to one of the largest bodies of water on the planet, and salt water will put out fires and they're just letting it burn. It just makes no sense. And they're sitting there, they say they don't have any water, but instead of developing Neuralink for your brain, they could be developing clean water systems and using that technology to ensure the health of the people in the world, you know. But they're more concerned in making you behave so you get up and go to work for them. I'm not good at working for other people. I've ran my own company a lot and did my own thing in my life because I don't really bow too readily to tyrants. It's just not my thing. They say where there's a will, there's a way. There is. You can always stick it to the man. You can always find a way and a law, just like the rich people do, to get around any of their bullshit. In fact, our ex-accountant used to work for the Internal Revenue Service till he got sick of them. His last day working for the IRS was when this old woman came in and all she had was like change, and she was in jeopardy of losing her property that they had paid for all their lives, and asked if they could just wait a little bit till she could come up with the rest. And he was so sickened by it, he couldn't deal with it. He stopped. He was like, that's it. Couldn't do it no more. But and then he trained his understudy Gene. So we had Roy and Gene as our accountants for a long time, and rarely owed any taxes because of the massive amount of write-offs that you can have. if you know what you're doing, you know. So we'd all get together and brainstorm and, you know. Of course, we have to pay property taxes. I'm just talking on business, you know, what are our expenses and, you know, our earnings, you know, that type of thing. Do it just like the rich people do. Use the laws to benefit you, you know. So, yeah. So that's what's on my mind today is our treasonous government and the people that are still faithful of all that. Wow. I just really detest them. I have no words. I have a great, not just distrust. It's way beyond distrust. I fucking hate these people. They actually think they're better and smarter and more well deserving of your money that you work for than you are. That doesn't sit right with me. It shouldn't with you either. There's other ways to make our United States strong and rich. It's gone around and people have thrived and survived even in rough economies. We've pulled through and we've made it. We can pull through enough to um, bail out failing banks and then what's left. And we can bail out other countries and help them rebuild. And now what? Dead currency? Crypto treasonous Trumpness. That's what it is. So, well, gonna get this uploaded. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Woo-hoo. Bet you're happy if you're working out there. Um, I am. I'm happy every day anyway. So, whether I'm working or not, you know. So, I got my, this is Brock Lesnar. He's our Minnesota wrestler. He's got a gym not too far from our place here. So, this is his t-shirt from his gym. So, I don't patronize him like he's some sort of badass or something. I don't care. You know, I'm into bodybuilding, always have been, and yeah, I may not ever go into professional bodybuilding, but that's not what it is for me. For what it is for me is staying strong to protect myself. Excuse me, because I have a reason I need to, you know. Some people don't live with that type of threat. I'm not one of them. So, all right, everybody, I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.